Hello dear students, welcome back. In the last video lecture already we have discussed about the classical mechanic topics, that is degrees of freedom, constraints and types of constraints. Those are holonomic, non-holonomic, scleronomic, rheonomic with the examples, right? In the today's video lecture I am going to discuss about the principle of virtual displacement and virtual work. I hope you already know that what is a displacement and what is a work. Displacement means if a particle is moved from one place to the another place with respect to some time, it takes some time, so we can say it as the particle is displaced. Okay, and simultaneously work is nothing but, in general we are going to write it as a work is nothing but force into displacement, that is W is equal to force into displacement. Already we know that, right? Now in the here we are discussing about the virtual displacement. Virtual displacement, what is that virtual displacement? What is the principle of that virtual displacement? Let us see. If a system undergoes a certain displacement in the configuration space in such a way that it does not take any time due to a system of particles having a certain constraint, such a displacements are called virtual displacement. Let us see. Here I have taken one particle and it has some constraint due to a system of particles, right? This constraint is it is moving in the only on this surface in this direction, right? And it has a displaced, that is dou x, right? In the real displacement it will take a time, but here in the virtual displacement, if a system undergoes a displacement in the configuration space in a such a way that it does not take any time, if a particle displaces from one point to the another point, means it does not take any time. Is it really possible? Oh, so it is very difficult to imagine that without taking a time how can a particle is displaced from one point to another point. At least it will take the nanoseconds also, right? So it is a bit difficult to imagine that, right? Let us see. Just we have to remember what is the principle of virtual displacement. Means a system undergoes a certain displacement in the configuration space in such a way that it does not take any time due to a system of particles having some constraints, and these type of constraint these type of displacement we have to call it as a virtual displacement. Actually this virtual displacement is not a actual displacement, it does not represent the actual displacement, right? Usually we have to denote it as a dou x or dou r. Okay, we have to represent like this, and a time that is usually at a time t equal to 0. Okay, now the work done by the force of constraint is 0 and the work is called virtual work. Okay, now come to the point. Let us consider del Ri be the virtual displacement of the ith particle of a given system. Here I have taken one system, and in this system I am going to consider one ith particle. Okay, this ith particle has did some displacement, that is virtual displacement dou Ri. If the given system is in the equilibrium, what it means? The resultant force which is acting on this system, that must be zero. That is on the all the particles of the system, that must be 0. Let us see. If a given system is in the equilibrium, the resultant force acting on each particle of the system must be 0. So we can denote it as that is Fi is equal to 0. That is the resultant force on a particular point. I have taken I means ith particle. So ith particle, on the ith particle, that is also the resultant force is 0, right? Therefore the virtual work for the ith particle must be 0. So what is the virtual work or actual work? We are going to represent it as a force into displacement. In the virtual work also we are going to take it as a Fi. Here Fi is the resultant force. Okay, already I have mentioned the resultant force acting on the each particle of the system is 0. So that virtual work is nothing but it becomes a 0. That is Fi del Ri is equal to 0. That is equation number 1. Okay. Okay. If a constraints are present, then the resultant force Fi acting on the ith particle is made up of two forces. Okay. Here in that system, here there is on the ith particle. On the ith particle, there are some constraints. That constraint may be it should move in a particular direction only. It should move only x-axis. It should move only y-axis, or it should move only z-axis. Any one, right? So it has some constraints are present. Then the resultant force acting on the at ith particle is, again, it is made up of two forces. One is that is resultant force Fi is equal to, one is a applied force on the ith particle. There is some external applied force on the ith particle, and the constraint force, of course there is some constraint force, that is Fi. So we can write it as it is made up of two forces. So Fi is equal to Fia plus Fi. Here Fia is nothing but applied force on the ith particle. Fi is nothing but a constraint force on the ith particle. So already we know that equation 1, that equation 1 is nothing but a summation of Fi del Ri is equal to 0. So in that place I am going to replace with this equation. So summation of Fia plus Fi dou Ri is equal to 0. So we can split it, summation of Fia dou Ri plus summation of Fi dou Ri is equal to 0. That is equation number 2, right? But work done by the force of constraint is 0. So work done by the force of constraint, that is 0. So we can hence summation of Fia dou Ri is equal to 0. It holds good only for the large number of a system containing the constraints, and that is for the equilibrium of the system. The virtual work for the applied force is 0. Okay, for the equilibrium of the system, the virtual work for the applied force is 0. This is nothing but we have to call it as a virtual work. Okay, let us see what is that virtual, what is the principle of that virtual work. Here I am going to take one example. Here there is one particle constrained to move on the surface, right? Now the direction of force of constraint, which is perpendicular to the surface, and while the virtual displacement, that is dou Ri, is tangential to the surface, means it is in this way, and the force of constraint, it is in this way. Then we can write it as a summation of Fi dou Ri, means that is the virtual work done on this system, that is nothing but 0, because this system is in the equilibrium. Okay, we have did some virtual displacement. Okay, but this system is in the equilibrium, so summation of Fi dou Ri is equal to 0. This is a condition for equilibrium of the system. Now come to the point, what is the principle of virtual work? The principle of virtual work states that the work done by the applied force acting on the system is equilibrium, in a equilibrium is 0. Okay, and which has and provided no frictional forces present. Okay, means it is a free from the frictional forces, right? Means the principle of virtual work states that work done by the applied force acting on the system in a equilibrium is 0. Work done by the applied force acting on the system in a equilibrium is 0. Then we have to call it as it is a principle of virtual work. and which does not provide with any frictional force. Means the frictional forces are absent in this condition. Okay, this is all about the virtual displacement and virtual work, principle of virtual displacement and principle of virtual work, right? And next one, generalized coordinates. Okay, I hope we already know that the system of coordinates, that maybe we can consider x, Cartesian coordinates x, y, z, or for the cylindrical or spherical coordinates, we are going to take it as a, that is r, theta, z, and for the spherical coordinates we are going to take it as a r, theta, phi, right? So what is this generalized coordinates? Is it any necessary for the generalized coordinates? Of course. With the help of generalized coordinates, we can easily solve the majority of the problems with the help of Lagrangian equation or Hamiltonian equations. Okay, so what is that Lagrangian Hamiltonian equation? That we will discuss later on. Okay, just these are the some of the basic concept we need to understand. What is the generalized coordinates? Let us see what is the definition. The least or a minimum number of variables or coordinates used to describe the configuration of a system are called generalized coordinates. Okay, the least or a minimum number of variables or coordinates used to describe the configuration of the system are called generalized coordinates. Let us take one example. Here I have taken one a simple pendulum. Okay, and simple pendulum, it is oscillating in this way. Okay, for example, it is displaced like this from origin. This I am going to take it as origin from here to here. Now with the help of Cartesian coordinates, we are going to define its position. That is, means the particle is at this position at a x distance in this way, in the vertical way it is at a y. Okay, we are defining with a two coordinate system. Now what is that generalized coordinates? Here actually in this simple pendulum, that L is some constraint, that is a constant. Okay, so in spite of taking the x and y, I am going to take a one more variable term, that is a theta, angular displacement. With the help of angular displacement, we can easily specify its position in spite of taking x and y. This is nothing but we have to call it as generalized coordinates. This is the least or a minimum number of variable used to describe the configuration of a system are called generalized coordinate. In spite of taking two terms, I am taking only theta. For example, in generalized, I am going to take it as a, if I go to the Athni, in the bus stand, I would like to ask someone, where is the Lakshman home? He used to ask me, who is Lakshman? What is his surname? Okay, now I am going to say him as a Lakshman Saudi. Again, again he used to ask, where is his house? Do you know any address? Okay, of course, Satti Road. Again he used to ask one more question. Okay, do you know any specific places nearby his house? Okay, then I am giving, I said near LIC office. Okay, means he asked a number of questions to get the specific information, means the position of his house. Means I gave his address, means that surname, and that road name, and also that near places, near familiar places. Okay, with these three different information, he is specifically mentioning where is his house. But in spite of that, I'm going to take it as generalized information. I will give a, if I give a generalized information to him, he definitely give the direction to his house. So what is that generalized information? Okay, directly I would like to ask him with giving one information, that is generalized information. So where is the DCM Lakshman Sodhi house? Okay, that DCM means that is a generalized. he is the only one person in the DCM, right, in Athani Taluka. So definitely he will show his house. So that is a generalized, right? So here we have taken a generalized in spite of taking x, y. Similarly, I have taken just I have given one example. In spite of giving a three different information, I am going to take only one information, that is generalized information. So here also we are going to take it as a generalized coordinates. In spite of taking a x and y, I am going to taking a theta, right? Now the name generalized coordinates give to a set of independent coordinates sufficient in a number to describe a completely a state of configuration of the dynamic system. Just I have explained what is that, right? Now the coordinates are denoted as q1, q2, q3 and so on qn. Okay, now I am going to take one more example. Here a particle is constrained to move on the circumference of the circle, right? So the generalized coordinates here already that radius is fixed r. Then if I want to mention the position of that particle on this circle, circumference of the circle, the generalized coordinates is only, that is, I hope it is not visible, right? Just I am going to repeat that. Particle constrained to move on the circumference of the circle, only one generalized coordinate, that is qi or q1, that is a theta. So the generalized, I would like to write generalized coordinate, that is q1 is a theta. Here the generalized coordinate, that is, it is enough sufficient information, right? Similarly, I am going to take one more example. Here a particle is constrained to move, maybe it is not visible, just I am going to read it. Okay, for a particle constrained to move on the surface of the sphere, consider this one is a sphere. Okay, on that sphere, or maybe you can take one example, that is one ball. On that ball an ant is moving on the surface of that ball. Okay, so if we need to specify the position of that ant on that sphere, means on that ball, then what are the generalized coordinates? Actually the ball radius is fixed, that is r is fixed. So generalized coordinates only, that is a theta and phi. q1 is theta and q2 is phi, means the generalized coordinates are 2. Here the generalized coordinates for a system of n particles constrained by a m equations, then equations are n is equal to 3n minus m. I hope while discussing about the degrees of freedom, the number of degrees of freedom 3n, if there are the constraints 3n minus f, so you have taken it as a, this is a constraint, means the number of generalized coordinates, means the number of degrees of freedom. These are the generalized coordinates, n is equal to 3n minus m. Okay, next, and it is not necessarily that coordinates should be rectangular, spherical or a cylindrical. Okay, just now I have only considered maybe it should be specific position x, y, z or r, theta, phi. Not only like that, generalized coordinate is not only specific to these terms only, not only to these terms x, y, z, Cartesian, cylindrical or spherical coordinates. In fact the quantities like a length square, angle, energy or a dimensional quantity may be used to generalize the coordinates. So how? Let us see. I will give one example. Here I have taken a linear spring mass system, and here one mass m is connected to this spring. Okay, I have displaced it like this. In this way it has displaced in the direction of x. So kinetic energy, that is equal to, I am going to write, we know that kinetic energy of this system is half mv square. So here I am going to write it as a half m x dot square. This is x dot is nothing but dx by dt. that is a velocity. So usually we have to represent like this, x dot. Okay, then potential due to the spring, half kx square. Actually I have not said about Lagrangian. That Lagrangian equation, I am going to substitute these values, these energy values in the Lagrangian equation. L is equal to k minus v. Just I am going to substitute half mx dot square minus half kx square. Okay, this is a one different case. Here I am going to take one more case, that is a LC circuit. This is one LC circuit. These capacitor and inductance which are connected like this. Then the kinetic energy half L q dot square. Actually we are going to write it as a half L I square. I is nothing but a dq divided by dt. So we can write like this, q dot, that is a charge, the rate of change of charge with respect to time. Okay, so kinetic energy is equal to half L q dot square, and potential energy q square divided by 2c. Okay, now I am going to substitute this value here, half L q dot square minus q square divided by 2c. This will give the Lagrangian equation of the motion. Okay, now here in the Lagrangian equation, I am using the Lagrangian equation for the linear spring mass system and also LC circuit. Here x is a displacement, here q is a charge, but here I have made it as a generalized coordinate. With the help of generalized coordinate, I am solving this problem. Okay, right? I hope it will give some basic idea what is that generalized coordinates. Okay, with the help of generalized coordinate, we can solve the many number of problems with the help of Lagrangian or Hamiltonian. But when you are using the Newtons, it is difficult to solve the problems, right? And next one is and the generalized coordinate should completely describe the state of the system, right? Which means which one we are using that coordinate system, that coordinate system must and should describe completely the state of the system. Okay, those generalized coordinates not restricted by any constraints. Okay, for example, I have taken a r, theta, phi. Okay, in that here theta and phi are the generalized coordinates. Okay, those theta and phi should not be restricted by any constraints. Then only you can say it as a generalized coordinates. Okay, and that theta and phi must and should describe the position of the particle or a state of the system. Okay, then only we can say it as a generalized coordinate, right? And now for a system of n particles, if xi, yi, zi are the Cartesian coordinates of the ith particle, then these coordinates in terms of a generalized coordinates qn can be expressed as, that is xi is equal to, this is a in the Cartesian coordinate system, or now it is transformed in the way generalized coordinates, that is xi function of q1, q2, q3 and qn comma t time t, and similarly yi is equal to and zi. Okay, zi is the function of q1, q2, q3. It is, we have transferred into generalized equation form. Okay, this is a conventional equations xi, yi, zi. Okay, these are the transformed in the generalized coordinates. In a general position vector, ri is equal to xi, yi, zi of the ith particle is, ri is equal to ri function of q1, q2, q3 and so on, qk and qn comma t. This is equation number 2. This equation number 1 and 2 give the transformation equation. These are the conventional coordinates, these are the transformation coordinates, generalized coordinates. So we can, equation number 1 and 2, we are going to say it as a transformation equation. It may be mentioned that generalized coordinates may be the Cartesian coordinates. This generalized coordinates may be the Cartesian coordinates, right? And last, with one example I am going to conclude it. So here I have taken a simple pendulum, just I have explained you. So this simple pendulum, okay, it is displaced here. Now with the help of Cartesian coordinates we can specify its position, right? Okay, I am going to take a y-axis and x-axis. So with the help of x-axis, so means from the point of origin to here, displacement, that is x, here it is a y. Okay, now this x is equal to, already we know that with the help of trigonometry, x is equal to r cos theta and y is equal to r sin theta, right? Now then y by x is equal to sin theta divided by cos theta, that is equal to tan theta. Then theta is equal to tan inverse of y by x. This theta is nothing but generalized coordinates. In spite of taking x and y, I am going to take only theta. That theta is the generalized coordinates, which is giving the information of the particle or the position of the particle or a state of the system. Okay, that we have to call it as a generalized coordinate. Okay, that's it. Thank you.